Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time joining us here at RedPup, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Today in this video we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of iPad applications that we have started using for both Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about what Boondockers Welcome or Harvest Host are. If you're not familiar with those, they are both subscription services where you can sign up and join and get opportunities to stay on individuals' land for up to 5 nights through Boondockers Welcome. With varying levels of connections, hookups, and so on at no charge. And then Harvest Host is again a subscription service, but you can join it. And these are businesses around the United States that have opened up their property to allow you to spend one night there at no charge. They just ask that you maybe make a purchase somewhere in the $20 range to stay at these locations. And they could be wineries, breweries, museums, golf courses, and so on. So we'll have another video that we're going to share later about how we use both of these apps, as well as RV Trip Wizard and All Stays and some other things for route planning. So again, both of them, we are members of both, and the intent of this particular video is not to compare the offerings of them or to say what we prefer, that we prefer one over the other, because quite frankly we use both pretty equally. But it's just to say what we see of value in their apps, what we liked about those, and what we didn't like. So that's it. Let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to start off with Harvest Host. I'm going to open up the app. Now you will see by default when you open up Harvest Host, you are going to see all of the locations that our Harvest Host hosts in the United States. This is a lot of hosts to see. So we want to talk about how do we narrow down this list of hosts to the ones that we might be interested in staying with. So there are a couple things we can do. We can enter a location or search in the top bar here where the magnifying glass is. To do that, we simply click there, and we can enter a location or a host name. So if we know a host, we can enter that. But if we just know a location, so in this case I'm going to say Orlando, Florida. USA, click that, and it's going to zoom in on Orlando, and here are all the hosts that are in the Orlando area. So here you can see symbols that represent farms, breweries, museums, wineries, and so on. So this may still not be quite filtered down enough, and I want to make sure that these hosts are going to meet my needs. So how do I go about doing that? So in the upper right of the screen, you'll see a little filter icon to the right of the search box. So I'm going to click that filter, and you're now going to be able to restrict your search a little more. If you want to stay, for example, only on farms and ranches, you could turn off all of the other options and now come down a little bit further, and you can say, okay, so the rig that we have is pretty big. I'm actually going to say I only want to stay at locations that can handle rigs over 45 feet. So I'm going to select that, and I'm only going to want to stay at locations that allow pets, because obviously we are going to be traveling with the Red Pup, and so we want to make sure that she's welcome at these locations. So I'm going to turn that on, and then I'm going to click Apply Filters. And now you will see I have narrowed this down. We are only seeing farms in the Orlando area or near Orlando that allow pets that are big enough for my rig. And then to see the details on one of those hosts, I can click the host and get a list, get the information there, and even drill into that by clicking on the details and actually see more about the host location. So that allows me to get to that. Once I find locations that I'm interested in, you'll see in the bottom right on the location host details, there's a little heart, and I can click that to add it to my favorite hosts. And to the right of that you will see a little mini RV, and that allows me to add that to a trip. So if I wanted to set up a trip that's going to include multiple hosts, I can do that there as well. And if I want to go to the website for this host, on the bottom left I can see that as well. Alright, so while I am seeing these hosts in the Florida area, a couple of other things that I want to point out. The first is over on the right-hand side underneath the filters, you will see a layers button, and when you click the layers button, it is going to change this and actually kind of show you a like a satellite view image of the land and the roads there. So that just changes the map view a little bit. I'm going to turn that back off. And there are two other options. One is the button to zoom the map back out, so you can do that. The arrow will zoom in on the area where I am currently located. So in this case, I'm doing this at home in Columbus, Ohio, so it zooms me into that area. And notice it's still applying the same filter. So I'm seeing farms in my area here. All right, so what else can I do with the Harvest Host app? So this is probably one of the more powerful things, one of the features that we really like is when I go back to the search for a location, by clicking in the search box, not only can I search by a location, but I can search by a route. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to go from Columbus, we'll stick with the area that I'm in right now, from Columbus, Ohio, and let's say that I want to go to Phoenix, Arizona. Now, one thing I should point out here is that the app does not allow me to specify a specific address in Columbus or Phoenix. That is one thing that took me a little bit to figure out. It didn't seem to be working quite right for me. But if I go with city to city, it seems to work fine. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to go from Columbus to Phoenix. And again, I want to look for hosts that are only within 20 miles of the route that it's going to give me from here out to Phoenix. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to click Search Route. When I do this, you're going to see that now it actually lays out a route on the map. And I can zoom out by, again, using the pinch two fingers, just kind of squeeze the screen here on the iPad. And you will see the map and the route that it has laid out to get me from Columbus, Ohio to Phoenix, Arizona. And you can see along the line, it's still applying those same filters I had before, but the farm locations that I can stop at. So I'm going to go back to my filter again, and I'm going to turn on everything except for golf. If I didn't mention it earlier, with Harvest Host, there is an additional fee for golf, but that does open up a lot of golf courses that you can stay at. We haven't paid for that, so I'm going to leave that off for the moment, and I'm going to apply those filters, and now you will see all of those things along the route, and then all of the options work the same as I showed you previously. I can click on any one of those to get the details to it, add it to my favorites, and so on. We use this in conjunction with RV Trip Wizard, which I will, again, we'll be having a future video on to kind of figure out how far we can drive in a day and where we might want to stop at these various Harvest Hosts. So this is a feature that we really, really like, with, again, the caveat being that you can't put in a specific address. So those are most of the features with the Harvest Host app. A couple of things at the bottom that I haven't hit on yet. So there is an upload feature. All the way on the bottom left, you'll see the little plus and it says upload next to it. If I click that, then I get an option to leave a review or upload photos for a host that I may be interested in or may have visited. So I can click on them on the map and then go in and leave a review or upload photos. I can also do nearby, and this is going to show me the hosts that are near where I am today. Again, it's still got the filtering turned on at this point for the farms. Search is what we talked about previously. My lists will take me to my saved hosts and those trips that I mentioned earlier. And then the profile will allow me to print my membership card, upgrade to golf if I choose to do so, and redeem benefits that I have. There's also links here to the frequently asked questions about Harvest Host, the website, and to log out. Okay, so that's basically my walk view of the Harvest Host app. Hopefully that you found something useful there. I know that I said going in that I was going to give you both our pros and cons, the things we liked and that we didn't like about the app. I'm actually going to say that for the most part, with the exception of being able to search the routes for a very specific address, which really isn't a big issue because normally you're just going through a local area anyway. But with the exception of that, most of the things about the app I really liked. It seemed a little bit buggy the first few times I used it. I seemed to be having trouble to get the map to load and so on, and I haven't noticed updates, but perhaps that was my iPad. It seems to have been working fine since. Overall, I would actually say that I like using the app more than I like using the Harvest Host website. Now, there are some things that I still go to the website for, but primarily I will be using the app from this point forward. Again, Harvest Host is a subscription service. You do need to pay an annual membership to get access to Harvest Host, to be able to use this app fully to find locations to stay. You have to have your membership card and so on to actually stay at these locations and get the benefits that you have as a Harvest Host member. I find that it is well worth it. Hopefully you will as well. If you want more information about how to join Harvest Host, we will leave a link below in the section down below so that you can have that. And again, hopefully you've enjoyed this portion of the video. Oh, the other thing that I should point out about Harvest Host locations is that unlike Boondockers Welcome, there are very few of the Harvest Host locations, at least that I've seen, that actually offer any types of hookups. They're kind enough to allow you to use, their parking lot and so on to stay as you travel. But most of them I think will allow generators to be used, at least during certain hours. But it is unlikely that you're going to find many of the Harvest Hosts that have water or electric or sewer hookups. While there may be some, it seems that the majority do not have that. And so understand that as you go in. This is boondocking. You have to be fully self-contained to join Harvest Host. You have to have an indoor kitchen. You have to have a bathroom. You have to be able to do those things. And again, this is a boondocking location for a single night as you travel, with an opportunity to see some great businesses around the country. So I hope this helped. So now we're going to jump over and we're going to take a look at the Boondockers Welcome app. All right, so let's jump into Boondockers Welcome. So Boondockers Welcome, just open it up. You'll see that there are some similarities here to this and what we just saw in Harvest Host. So when I open up the app, the first thing I'm going to see is a map of the country. And if I zoom out a little bit, again, just using that pinch and squeeze that we used in the Harvest Host app, you'll see Boondockers locations all over the country here. So these are all marked on the map, and there are, again, similarities. I can search in a certain area. So let's say that I want, again, we'll do like we did for Harvest Host. I'm going to go to Orlando, Florida. I'm going to search that, and so here's Orlando. There are Harvest Hosts in several places there in Orlando. The other things I can do is I can specify, much like I did in Harvest Host, I can specify the rig size. Now this is a little different because here with the rig size I can indicate how long the trailer is. In my case, I've got a pull-behind travel trailer, so I can indicate the rig size and then the tow vehicle size separately. So I've got a 39-foot, about 38-foot 6-inch travel trailer. My truck is about 23 feet long, and then it uses this as a combined estimate as we consider hosts that we might want to stay with in Boondockers Welcome. And then we apply that, and then we can specify dates that we're going to be traveling by clicking the dates over on the left and selecting that, so it'll narrow down those hosts that may not be available during that time. And finally, again in the top section, I can filter, much like I was seeing in Harvest Host. And here, the filters are a little different. So I can tell it that I am looking for sites that allow barbecues, that allow lawn chairs or slide outs, that are pet friendly, that allow generators. And again, many of the Boondockers Welcome locations also offer other amenities such as hookups. So here, if I want to stay, maybe I don't have a battery bank or a generator, and so I really need to stay someplace that has electric. I can turn that on as well and set that option to make sure that the hosts that are shown to me are ones that have electric. So again, I set all this, and I'm going to say, for this example, I'll say, yep, I'm looking for electric. I'm looking for a place that will allow my slide outs and that is pet friendly. Again, some of these may even have a dump. Most of them don't, but some may. So I'm going to say, all right, so those are what I'm looking for. I'm going to apply that. You will notice that a few of these hosts disappeared from the map when I did that. And then again, you can click on a specific host, and it will bring up the details about that. So this is telling me that this particular host has. It's called Beachside Living. It's 1.5 blocks from the world's most famous beach. It's in a nice neighborhood on a quiet street. There's a heart here, so if I want to add this, I'm interested in this, I can click the heart and add it to my favorites. And at the very bottom, I can click to view the full detail listings, where I can see some photos, a little bit of a map, some details with the specific amenities that this host offers. So, you know, it's filtering for what I asked for, but it's also showing all the other amenities. So in this case, this host allows me to have a rig that is less than 40 feet. And that they have a maximum of 3 nights that I can stay with them. They have a space for 1 RV. They do allow slide outs, barbecues, pets, and lawn chairs. And they have a 50 amp electric hookup. They do, and you will note this with some of the Boondockers Welcome sites, they do ask for a $15 a night donation if you're going to use electric. If you're not going to be using their electric, then you can stay here for free. But if you are going to be using electric or water, in this case they have electric and water, if you're going to be using those, they ask for a $15 donation to help offset that cost. Again, some do not request any donations, and others do. There's indicators here for references from guests, so you can see that this particular host has had 2 reviews, with both of them being positive, no negatives, and no middle of the road kind of reviews. The description. So again, this is what I read before, where it's 1.5 blocks from the beach and so on. They do give some rules. So Boondockers Welcome indicates that allows the host to tell you what their house rules are. So they don't want any smoking. You have to pick up after your pets and people, obviously, and leave the area at least as nice as you found it. Hopefully that's the case for all of us when we're traveling, and no loud noise after dark. So you can click for more details about their availability, what the access road is like to get there, if you've got a tow vehicle, what's the parking options for that tow vehicle, and if they've got local attractions in their area, then you can click that and it'll give you a list of those local attractions. So again, this is a good way to look at the details for a specific host, and then find hosts and add those to your favorites and so on. Explore will just take us back again to the map, and we can move around manually and see locations as we move by pinching to drag and zoom around the country. Favorites will give me, and again I'm going across the options at the bottom, favorites will give me a list of all of my favorites, the places that I've said either I've stayed before and liked, or that I'm interested in staying in the future. There is a link in the middle for stays, so as you have stays, this gives you an opportunity to see ones that are upcoming, ones that where you plan to stay. It gives you a place to see any that you may have requested, and it also gives you a place to see anywhere that you have stayed before and the reviews that you have provided for those locations. There is an inbox at the bottom for messages that you get and things that you exchange with those hosts about upcoming stays. And then all the way on the right, there is also a section for more where you can log out, you can contact the Boondockers Welcome, and you can get details about the app, such as the version level and so on. Note here, it does say that mobile app functionality is still limited. The Boondockers Welcome app is pretty new, and they suggest that for other account maintenance requirements to use their website. So there are things about Boondockers Welcome that I do continue to go to the website for. There is not a option in Boondockers Welcome to search a route like there is in Harvest Host. I think that that's a nice feature that Harvest Host has. It would be nice if Boondockers Welcome had that. To the best of my knowledge, they don't have that either in the app or on the website. But again, if you know you're going to be in an area, or if you're using another tool to do mapping, it's pretty easy to pair that up with the Boondockers Welcome app to find hosts along your route and work through that. So I know this was a little quicker than Harvest Host, but that's because some of the features are very similar to what we saw over there. So again, you've got Explore, you've got the ability to search by a city, name, you've got an ability to apply filters, dates, rig size, keep filters, keep your favorites, keep record of where you've stayed and places that you want to stay in the future, and communicate with those hosts as you go. Okay, so that pretty much completes our walkthrough of both the Harvest Host and the Boondockers Welcome app. Not a lot of cons to either one. We like both of the apps. I think the only negative on Harvest Host would be that specific address search. Not a big deal. And again, it was a little flaky early on, but I think that was probably just user error or something to do with the app. And then for Boondockers Welcome, and I think the app in and of itself is great. Just after using the Harvest Host, I kind of like the route search, and so I wish that was there. But both of these are great. I still find myself going back to the website occasionally for these. But the app is a great tool to have in the toolbox, and I am planning to use it as we plan routes in the future. I hope that both of these helped you, and again, I hope you'll watch on some of our upcoming videos as we go through how to use these apps along with those other tools that I mentioned earlier to plan full trips that we're going to be doing. So again, if you've tuned in for the first time, I hope you will consider subscribing. Like this video if you got anything out of it, and click the bell for notification of future videos. We do alternating videos here, with destination videos being on one Sunday and then stuff to talk about, which is what this video is, on other Sundays. And we hope that you will continue to follow us along on our journeys with the Big Red Pup.